This is one of my favorite panels, getting to know the dean. And this was actually Kayla, my colleague and I's idea because the dean has such an interesting background in business. And I think it's really what sets our college apart. Really wanting to be the most connected business school to business practice. So we twisted Dean Hendrickson's arm a little bit and asked him to share more about that and how that foundation really creates success for our students. So in and out of our office all the time are big CEOs, top execs, startups, and he's asking, what are new grads doing well? What skills do you wish they would have? What's growing? What's tapering off? And that's the information he uses for curriculum, hiring faculty, and it really sets us apart. So, without further ado, Dean Anthony.
So, I actually started my career with Arthur Anderson. I was in the consulting division, not the accounting division, which became Accenture. So I'm not part of the people that went bankrupt, sort of, I would say that, but they're actually very good firms. Pretty sad about what happened to them. And a lesson about when you're a partner, you're really a partner with people, so be aware of that. One of my clients was a trucking company, and ultimately I went to work for them, became the Vice President of Finance and Chief Information Officer there. And during that period of time, did a number of things, but not the least of which we did an initial public offering, so we did an IPO. Before that we did an ESOP, an employee stock ownership plan, did a subsequent public offering. So I had early in my career, had a lot of experience doing fairly large financial transactions. And when you become public, now you have quarterly analyst calls with people on Wall Street and have to explain your strategy and what you're doing and did those kinds of things. My family had some diversified businesses and in the mid-80s, and my uncle became ill, and I was the only person that ever in my family had gone to college, and so I left the trucking company to run those businesses for a while, and did that for about 3.5 years and sold off those businesses to different entities, and then started doing some consulting for Sprint, and eventually became a Sprint employee. It was during that time that one day my wife said, if you won the lottery, what would you do? And I said, I'd go back and become a college professor. And I said that I didn't have to think. She just said, what would you do? And I said, that's what I do. And as I started thinking about that, I kind of realized that I think that's where my heart and passion is. And so we talked about it, and I had the opportunity then to leave Sprint and go to the University of Arkansas. Did a PhD in computer information systems and quantitative analysis. And then my first academic job was at UNLV in Las Vegas years. And then had an opportunity to go to Iowa State, went to Iowa State, was there for 9 years, and was the associate dean for graduate programs when a headhunter called me and said, come over and look at Creighton. They had a dean's job. I said, yeah. So I came over and sold them. I think the thing that's screwed up about collegiate business education is it's not connected with real business. It's two ivory towers, not realistic. And at the end I said, I probably said some things that you didn't expect to hear from a dean candidate. That's okay. No hard feelings. I understand if you want to look elsewhere, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm driving back and my cell phone rings and the headhunter calls and says, man, I don't know what you told them. And I said, gee, Ron, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be quite so overt about it. He goes, oh no, they loved you. Next thing you know, I'm here. I've been here for 13 years, and it's been a great opportunity. But we do strive to be the most connected school in the world with real-world business. For basically one thing when you come for business education. An education, but an opportunity to get a good job in business. Well, so it's my job to make sure that there's lots of people that want you. And the best way to do that is to make sure that those businesses are happy about what they get. That's why I think in 2009, at the depths of the recession, when so many other schools were below 50%, our worst placement was 94%. I had businesses say, we're so glad this is an opportunity. We usually, just for whatever reason, we're not able to hire a Creighton student. We're hoping with the market being bad, we're going to be able to get some Creighton students this year. We believe in kind of a different approach to education. As a Jesuit school, we're trying to educate the whole person. And so we're looking at integrity before profits. We think that it's important that you develop your character and you maintain your integrity. As you heard this morning, loving God, loving mom, and loving profits is not bad. But you have to put those into perspective, and you should never sell your integrity for a little bit of money. I think that that's a bad idea. And we animate that with the rest of our Jesuit values. So for those of you not familiar with Jesuit education, let me kind of run through those real quick. So now, because it's Jesuit, we got lots of Latin terms, so you just got to put up with the Latin. One of those is cura personalis, means care for the person. So you're an individual. Each of you as students had a different schedule this morning. You are an individual. You're not a number. People will know your name. We think that one student needs to be developed in a different way than another student. You are an individual. And we think that it's our job to really recognize the individual value of each person. So cura personalis really animates us. That's why we're not afraid sometimes to make exceptions to our rules and policy, because you have some exceptional circumstance. We deal with that on a daily basis. And we think that that's very important. Magis. Magis directly means more. As it's really interpreted, it doesn't mean just get more of everything. It really means keep striving for excellence. That you could get better at something every day. You need to continually not rest on your laurels. You can become a better leader, a better person, a better business person, etc., etc. We believe that men and women for and with others is important. We share this planet with 6 billion other people. It's not all about you. So get that through your head. You know, it's not just me, me, me. It's what about everybody else around here, and what good are you doing for them? We believe in educating the whole person. So it is not about just 6 pounds of you. You know, average human brain weighs 6 pounds. We're trying to educate more than just 6 pounds of you. We're trying to challenge you intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, all together, so that we're really addressing you as a holistic person. Because you as a person aren't segmented into those groups. You are holistic in that aspect. Finding God in all things. We think that that's an important aspect, to be able to look at the world and understand that there's a unique plan that God has for you, and where did you miss God today in your life? Where was there an opportunity to see God differently? That's part of Jesuit charisms and what we believe that is really an important aspect of who we are and what we do. So we animate Jesuit values in a number of ways. Service trips. Our accounting students do a volunteer income tax assistance program, so they actually prepare at no charge for low-income people their tax returns for them. That helps our students. They're able to use their business skills to help somebody, but additionally, they also learn that, you know, maybe the world as they know it is different for somebody else. Our placement, the success we have academically really starts with our faculty. Our faculty have over 500 years of real-world business experience. some of the examples, Melissa Woodley managed a $700 million bond portfolio before she became an academic. She's a finance professor. All of our finance professors are CFA charter holders. In addition to being PhDs, they're CFA charter holders. We have more CFA charter holders on our faculty than any other school in the world. We have a master's program that's based on all 3 levels of the CFA exam. The CFA, if you're not familiar with that, is a 3-year exam process. You have to pass level 1 to get to 2, to 3, etc. And worldwide, that pass rate's about 32%. Our students' pass rate is about 87%. We have some of our faculty work with the CFA Institute to make the questions and actually grade the exams. It is the benchmark. If you're going to work in investment banking, if you're going to work in Wall Street, they want you to be a CFA charter holder. So it is really the gold standard for working in finance. And again, all of our faculty have that designation. Matt Sievers was a PGA golf pro before he became an academic. Regina Taylor, in addition to being a PhD in management, was the human resources director at Disney and also at Johnson & Johnson. So typical of our faculty have years of experience doing what they are now teaching. For me, that's extremely important. We're now working to upgrade our curriculum in light of Magis and trying to always improve our curriculum. We think that there's a couple ways of looking at the things that we can teach. The transferable skills, T-shaped professionals is a new term that you may or may not be aware of, but it's the notion that across the horizontal are those skills that are transferable regardless of what industry or what career position you're in, and it's a thing that you probably consistently work on and never reach nirvana. There's always magic there. You're going to be trying to be a better leader, more professional, have more ethics and empathy. You're constantly working on those things. Whereas the up and down, the vertical, is the business academic disciplines. And we think that we address those in our curriculum in a variety of ways. So we've talked about some of these things. So we have mock interviews and etiquette, dinners, and that's part of our career portfolio, the professionalism. We have study abroad and global travel courses. Our Magis core curriculum provides that good, strong liberal arts foundation, critical thinking, and we'll talk about our business symposium in a moment. If we look at the academic disciplines, you see a number of things that are about our academic programs. So our finance programs, highly ranked accounting. We have a unique program in law with a 3-3 program. Special tracks in healthcare and medicine. All these things. Every school does academic programs. We think we do it better in many ways because of some of the unique things that we do around that. So other schools may have business intelligence and analytics that probably have something called management information systems. We think BIA is actually more accurate. But not only do we have multiple tracks, but we have an app development challenge and competition every year called RG Bargy. We do a trip to San Francisco and the Silicon Valley. Yes, we have management courses, but we also have the IJ store that you saw out here. It's the only Apple store in the world that's actually run by students. So Nancy that works there, she's the only real employee that works there, and she just makes sure the store is open on time and executes the management decisions of the students who manage that store and have to report that. We started that IJ store with money from the Dean's Discretionary Fund several years ago. So essentially I'm the sole shareholder. And I meet with them about every other month and say, where's my money? And we talk about that. Every month they do a P&L. And we look at that. And they do a strategy, what's your Christmas it's in retail. What's your Christmas strategy? What's your strategy for new students coming in? How do you manage the inventory? A couple of years ago, they really took it on the chin. They bought a whole lot of inventory that they probably shouldn't have bought, and then they got stuck with a lot of bad inventory. Didn't make good money that year. I wasn't happy. But they learned a lot about inventory management and about buying and purchasing. So it was a great experience for them. But we run a business. Imagine that. A business school runs a business. Who would have thought? Our med school has a clinic. Pharmacy has a clinic. Dentistry has a clinic. Law has a clinic. Nursing has a clinic. In business, our clinic is we run a business. So we think that that's an important aspect. We have an Anna Tyler Waite Leadership Program. This is an endowed leadership program that's 4 years. We have faculty members that lead each level of that experience each year, exposing you to leadership, learning about it, practicing, and then putting it into action. So the students, the seniors in that program actually will be the leadership group for our business symposium. We'll talk about it in just a second, but this is open to all business students. All you have to do is say, I want to do this, and you get an opportunity to participate. It's only open to business students. The donor wanted just business students to be available to it, and so that's what we do. About 2/3 of our students participate in this in one form or another. And this year we have a new program related to that. You're familiar, we have our Dean's Fellows and our Research Fellows interviews here this afternoon and things that we're doing. But in addition to that, we are launching a new program called the Anna Tyler Waite Ambassadors. They will have other enhanced leadership opportunities if you're selected for that. An opportunity to be leaders in our RSP. RSP stands for Ratio Studiorum Plan. It is essentially Ratio Studiorum, it's another Latin term, means plan of study. If you weren't familiar, all of higher education that's set up as semesters and courses and syllabuses and everything you see about the organization of higher education was developed by Jesuits, and it's been borrowed by other secular groups. It basically is the format, but it was originally done by Jesuits. Jesuits have been in higher education for over 500 years, so after a while we kind of figured out what we were doing. But the ATW students are working in those as leaders in those sections. Those RSP sections are essentially orientation sections that every student will be involved in your freshman year. That group will develop and implement leadership activities for local youth programs. So we have a year. That group will develop and implement leadership activities for local youth programs. So you've heard about our career portfolio, a bunch of the things that we've already talked about, etiquette dinners and networking, jobs for Jays, etc. That's clearly a key program for us. Our placement, internship capabilities. Internships, we do internships everywhere. So internships are essentially all paid. If you want to do an internship during the school year, about half our students do that. That's obviously here in Omaha. In the summer, you may stay here and do an internship at that same company or another company in Omaha in the summer. If you want to do an internship back where you're from, or if you're from Cleveland and you want to do one in Seattle, or you're from Omaha and you want to do one in Seattle, just let us know. Wherever you want to, opportunities is just pretty much wherever you want to do them. So it's really a who's who, but there's also opportunities at smaller startup companies like Flywheel that you see here. Entrepreneurship, because we're trying to keep everything real world. Frankly, entrepreneurship and typical structured collegiate education are kind of a little bit of an antithesis. Plus, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs, new startups don't have the monetary capacity to have paid internships. Usually the founders are going without getting paid to try and make those work. So we want our students to have real internship opportunities and experiences. We fund 20 internships a year with the Startup Collaborative. It's a group here in Omaha that basically is an incubator that has a program to help startups get launched. And we fund internships. You interview. If you're selected, then you get matched with a startup company and you do an internship with a startup. And you're going to learn all the things that you got to do as working for a startup company, which is wearing a lot of hats, doing a lot of different things. So my own son did an internship last spring with a startup called Gazella Wi-Fi Marketing. They do Wi-Fi marketing for mostly for bars, restaurants, hospitality venues, lots of different kinds of venues. And after 6 or 8 weeks of doing his internship, he was then hired. He was the 3rd employee. He still works there. He's 21. He's just got enough hours to be a senior now. He's actually a junior, but he tell you he's a senior. He also has a business card that says Senior Vice President of Marketing at Gazella, and he knows what he's doing. It's amazing the experiences that he's had. So one day he was having dinner and said, "I got to go back to work and do some stuff." And his mom said, "What are you going to do?" He says, "I need to go flash some routers." She's like, "Flash routers? What's that?" You know, I knew from my IT experience that he's going to put firmware on their routers, and he proceeded to explain that they buy routers for $19 from China, and they put their firmware onto those routers and then sell them to their customers for $75, and it has their firmware on there, and there's ability, that's their value added, in which then you could manage your own Wi-Fi network as a hospitality entity. And I said, I understand what you're doing, and his mom said, "I don't understand what you're doing." And I said, "But where'd you learn to do that?" He said, I had to teach myself. Because it's a startup. We have the thing called 3-day startup. Students actually participate in the concept of a new idea. It starts on Thursday night. By Saturday, they're supposed to have done the legwork to be able to take that to the marketplace for angel investing. It's a competition that's done. And Jaclyn, we have some, you may see some signs around here. Those are students that have now graduated. They opened Jaclyn several years ago. They realized that as Creighton students, there's so many opportunities for you to wear dress clothes like you're wearing today for so many events that we do. But how do you make sure that your clothes are clean? So they created a company called Jaclyn. You drop them off. There's a facility actually right down here. You drop them off. They take them. They have them dry cleaned and bring them back to your dorm room or to your office. If you're a faculty member, they'll do your stuff. They're like a curb service dry cleaners. And they've actually expanded to, I think, 14 other campuses now. You've seen our travel courses, New York, China, Australia. We've gone to South Africa, San Francisco and Silicon Valley. The IJ Practicum. IJ runs much like our portfolio practicum. Our portfolio practicum, students manage now about $7 million of the university's portfolio. Real money they're managing. They have to report to the finance committee of the board of directors and explain their strategy and their logic for the equities that they hold, and it's real money. The seniors, it's a senior class that goes, you have to apply to get into it. They pick about 15, 16 students every year to be part of that. And once you apply, the seniors take that class for fall and spring. The graduating seniors are the ones that actually hire and pick the juniors that will succeed them. So you have some real world experience in hiring your successors as well. Business Symposium is the largest student business run event in the country. We have about 1,000 people that come to this event. It's too large for campus. They rent out the CenturyLink Center. Students, we give them some contact information, but every year the students run this event. They do everything in putting it together, including raising about $60,000 a year to be able to rent out the CenturyLink Center and do the things they do. They decide the agenda, they identify the guest speakers, etc., that will come. Last year, Jamie Martin, one of our alums, he's like the #3 guy at Nike. He's on our board, came and was one of the speakers 2 years ago. We have about 35 people, alums that work at Nike, mainly because of Jamie's influence there. You've seen about our placement. Our median starting salary is about $50,000, a little bit higher than that this year. And literally, from here you can go anywhere.